right, give it, y'all. We're gonna keep this going, y'all. Give it up for y'all next comedian, Brad Laidman. What is that?
Yo, man, I'm like the white guy that says some stupid shit. I know more black culture than anybody in this room. It's just true. Can I gauge my audience, man? I just gotta gauge my audience. Who's more talented, Eddie Murphy or Kevin Hart?
Eddie Murphy.
Everybody says Eddie? All right, well, it's Eddie, man. If you don't think it's Eddie, then Eddie Murphy is the transformational talent of our generation. If you don't think it's Eddie, we're gonna have to go outside and fight. I don't even know why I'm here, man. I just kind of want to get a book published and maybe meet a girl. Is anybody here a girl that's kind of interested in me? Because I got a burger to eat and a cigarette to smoke. Anybody? Raise your hand if you want to date me. I'm smart. I got a nice apartment. All right, because I'm out of here, I'm going to smoke my cigarette and go home and watch 48 Hours. Anybody seen 48 Hours? Because that's a better movie than anything that Kevin Hart ever done. No, man, I did this once before, and I met Chris, and I brought my parents, and I was in and out, and I went to Cleveland to play blues for some reason when I really wanted to play punk, and that was a bad experience. It was a mistake. I should have stuck around here and done comedy or something. Chris is a good guy, man. He told me that Akron was fun, and Akron, I'm living in Mayfield Heights now, and I don't know why. Because I grew up there, I thought it would be cool to go back where I grew up, and I'd bring out all my books and all my movies, and people come over, and ain't nobody want to come over and hang with me. Everybody's married. I've been told, like, my friend card is filled, man. My friend card is filled. And that just leaves me by myself in my place. And I envy you guys with titties, because if I had titties, I wouldn't have to leave my apartment. So Chris is cool, and I heard you guys talking about millennials. Chris, I think, is a baby boomer. Are you a baby boomer, Chris?
Boomer.
All right, because I'm like sort of Gen X. I got Joe Strummer of The Clash on my calf. Everybody thinks it's the coolest tattoo in town, but ain't nobody know who Joe Strummer of The Clash was. But let me teach you about the baby boomers. There was a generation before the baby boomers, and they were called the greatest generation, correct?
The Beats?
No, the Beats were cool. But the greatest generation, these people grew up dirt poor, and then they went up and they fought World War II, and supposedly they beat Hitler, and you can't root for Hitler. Switzerland couldn't make up their mind about Hitler, but Hitler was not a good guy. So these guys went off and they beat Hitler. They grew up with nothing. They beat Hitler. Really, it was kind of the Russians that beat Hitler. Hitler fucked up. Don't fuck with the Russians. If Hitler wouldn't have fucked up with the Russians, he might have won. Anyway, the greatest generation, they were awesome. They kicked ass. They started out with nothing. They came back home, and what they did was they fucked like mad. They had so many kids. They had kids left and right. And then they built tract houses. All the houses looked the same. They had their kids, and then they started making money because war is profit. And what they did was they had so many kids that they brought to bear the baby boomers. And these guys had awesome rock and roll music, plenty of money. They had Disneyland. They had everything cool, man. They had Speed Racer. They had great music. And then the 60s happened. They had drugs. They had sex left and right. They had awesome music. Then they got sent to a shittier war than World War II, because World War II was like awesome compared to Vietnam. They got stuck in Vietnam, but then still they had awesome music. They had great music. But the thing is, they had so many kids that they began to think that they were the greatest generation, and those people are obsessed with themselves. And there are so many of them that they just care about themselves. And there's so many of them that they're bankrupting Social Security because they got the vote. There's so many of them, they always vote for themselves. You will die, they will continually talk about themselves. It's just like, oh man, Creedence, man, we gotta talk about Creedence. I love Creedence. Yeah, the Vietnam War era. It's like, I have seen about 18,000 Vietnam films, and they're cool, but they just can't get over themselves. And then I had to grow up under Ronald Reagan, and it was literally the only time in history where people said say no to drugs, and there was no sex and alcohol around. So Chris got to have a lot of fun. I got to grow up under Ronald Reagan. My high school and college years were 1980 to 1988, and that was Ronald Reagan, and that was Nancy Reagan saying, just say no. And that means that Chris had an awesome life, and my life sucks. And all you people vote for yourself and you're bankrupting Social Security, and I'm gonna be on the street homeless without a girlfriend, and it's all your fault. But other than that, man, Chris, I love you. You are taking over the world. You're marketing yourself to death. The world is kind of a marketing dystopia right now. I keep on looking for friends and everybody's got something to sell. It's like, man, would you like to be my friend? And they're like, yeah, would you like to buy a guitar? I'm like, no, I got guitars, I need friends, man. Would you like to buy a button? I'm like, I got a lot of buttons, man, I need a friend. It's like, and I meet people, I'm like, well, what are you going into? Oh, I'm going into marketing. I'm going into marketing. I'm like, well, what are you marketing? I'm marketing, because they want to make money. It's all about money. The world ain't money, man. It's kind of happiness, you know? How much money do you need, man? I mean, it's kind of like I look at the world and this woman, Betsy DeVos, is in charge of education, and she got 10 yachts, and that's not enough for Betsy DeVos. She needs an 11th yacht. And I'm like, man, what can you do in the world? If I had one yacht, I would sell it and buy a canoe. My friend actually he stole a canoe, he actually had to get that expunged so he could be a fireman. I miss the days of stealing canoes. Didn't somebody like set Betsy DeVos' yacht Amour or something like that? Whoever that is, that's a hero. I want to throw a parade for that dude. Because I think you only need maybe 4 yachts. I think 4 yachts you can get by. You know, I don't see a need for an 11th yacht. If you got 4 yachts, I mean, Gilligan only had kind of like a boat with a hole in it. They couldn't even figure out how to fix that thing. Does anybody remember Gilligan's Island? Are we drunk or stoned? What are we, because I got to tailor to the audience. Drunk or stoned? We're stoned? Or we'll give like kind of like some stoner humor. Stoner. So what generation are we? Are we like talking Cheech and Chong or Harold and Kumar? Cheech and Chong? Yeah, you know, like back in the day they threw Cheech, or was it Chong? I can't tell those fuckers. No, it's Chong. They threw Chong in jail for making glass pipes. Apparently glass is against the law. And Chong never hurt nobody. Chong was a good dude. You know what I like about Harold and Kumar? My favorite line, and I feel it about me, is like he says to somebody, because he knows everything about medicine. He says, yo man, just because I'm well hung doesn't mean I need to do porn. And I feel like that about a lot in life. And there's a lot of politicians, and man, you're good at being politicians, you're good at screwing people over, and you're good at making money. Don't mean you gotta do it, you know? I mean, you know, skip the yachts, get a canoe, sail off to an island, find a chick, and hang out. So I am stuck in Mayfield Heights, and those people drive like assholes. And like the thing is that I'm kind of educated. I know stuff. I've watched movies, and the people, I'm doing my best. Like a guy gave me some advice. You want to know the best advice in life? Nod and smile, man. Nod and smile. Because I actually walked into with a guitar to a place on the west side, and people in Cleveland are very territorial. It's like they ain't left their neighborhood in 80 years. And I walk into this place, and I'm Jewish, and I have an affinity for African American culture. And I walk in with a guitar, and a guy says to me, yo man, you got a guitar, you're too late, they left. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. He's like, let me buy you a beer. And I'm not even a drinker, but I'm like, all right, cool, buy me a beer. And he says, where are you from? I'm like, I live in Mayfield Heights. And the guy literally said to me, yeah, that's where all the Jews and niggers live. And then at this point, I'm like, I'm Jewish, and I have an affinity for everything. I'm like, nod and smile, man. Thanks for the beer, man. Thanks for the beer. And then at that point, I just gotta hope I don't get shot. So everybody says to me, like, you're like a know-it-all. And I'm like, no, man, I just know a lot of shit. I know a lot. It's not my fault. I read books. I watch movies. And then they say to me, they like go, you always think you're right. And I'm like, dude, everybody always thinks they're right. I've never had a discussion where the other person didn't think they were right. I mean, it's just, they're intimidated because I was like a state debate champion. And I'm like, I don't debate anymore, man. I don't play devil's advocate. That was for trophies. There were rules. And I just fucked with that system, and I won trophies, and it helped me get into college and get the fuck out of Cleveland as soon as I possibly could. All right, am I at 9.5 or 10? Cool. I like one to just, this has an absolute, I'm at 10. All right, I got a couple more minutes. This is going to be like, I'm just happy that the sun is shining because one of my credos is I like to sing the John Lennon song, Rain, because rain is actually about how people are never happy. And John Lennon is saying, be happy. He's saying, you know, like, I can show you that when it rains, it shines. People hear me sing and they say, don't quit my day job. And I say, I ain't got a day job, man. Enjoy work tomorrow. Anyway, but it's a choice to be happy. But the thing is the last couple of days it's been raining like a motherfucker, and I'm sick of it. And I really think that, like, God, if you look at the Bible, God promised not to flood us again. He made a promise. He said, you know, I killed all you motherfuckers once with the flood. If I do it again, I'm going to pick a different method. But I think that maybe he's going back on his word. And I really don't get the whole flood thing. You had, like, Noah and all of his people. And then he had to like build a big boat and collect a bunch of animals. And I just don't get how this worked because there's a thing called the food chain. It would take him a long time to get all these animals. And then how does he keep the lions from eating the pandas and the poodles and all that shit? There must have been chaos on that boat. The septic system on that boat must have been just insane to get every single kind of insect on that boat to keep the lambs alive from the tigers and the lions. It's complete chaos. I don't know how he did it. So that was a routine about Noah's Ark that is much worse than the one that Bill Cosby did that I grew up on. But nobody's allowed to listen to the Bill Cosby stuff anymore because he's a rapist, because we live in a PC culture. God bless. I hope that everybody is more sensitive. The world is going to hell. I love you all. Thank you very much for listening to me. Come get me before I talk for the next 50 hours. Thank you very much. I got a burger right there.
Keep it going. Keep it going for Bird, y'all. Give it a... All right.